This video is brought to you by Squarespace.
I'm on my way now.
Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. If you happen to be new around here, my name is Trevor and this is Anna. We are the Delightful Travelers. Make sure to hit the subscribe button to follow along on our now DR adventures. Today is the day we answer all of your questions about the Dominican Republic.
We get so many questions from you guys, whether it's in the comments here on the videos, or you send us DMs, or you email us. So we decided to put a call out, make a collection of all your questions, all the questions you ask us all the time, and we're gonna answer them today.
I hope you're ready. There's a lot, so stick with us. First though, some quick backstory on us. We live in the Dominican Republic, so we have lots of experience with this country. We are from Canada, yes, but we spend most of our time here. Also, make sure to hit the like button because that's gonna help us out. Okay, question number one.
How long are you allowed to stay in the Dominican Republic?
This is by far the most asked question we received from all of you guys. So we're gonna start it with the hardest one to answer.
Yes, it's a complicated one.
Very. It depends. And on all the different things. Let us take you through it. Technically, on paper, let's say you're Canadian or American, you're allowed to stay for 30 days.
30 days, yep, that's what your visa, you don't need a visa, but that's what you get on entry is 30 days. If you read anything about it, you're immediately gonna be like, I'm only allowed to stay for 30 days? How are you there for so long? How are all these people spending the winter in the Dominican Republic? And that's what we're gonna get into.
Okay, so here's the thing about the DR. We're gonna call it that for short a lot in this video. You can overstay, and there's actually a chart from the government that says you can do so. A lot of people call it a fine. You can call it whatever you want. It's technically like an overstay fee. We call it our Caribbean tax to be able to stay longer. So we always stay past the 30-day mark, and on the way out, you pay a fee at the airport and you're free to go. There's nothing to it. There's no penalty if you come back. It's actually just the way it is, and that's how so many people get to stay here for so long.
Yes, but you're probably gonna start reading the comments. There are probably gonna be people in there that saying that's totally wrong. People like to say different things. We've never heard of anybody actually getting in trouble for overstaying, and I'd say 99.9% of the people that come down here for winter, especially Canadians and Americans, are overstaying. I'm just gonna say that it's true.
That's how it goes.
It's how it goes. It's the way it is, and I've never actually, I hear people say they've heard of people getting in trouble for this. I've never actually talked to one person that's ever got in trouble. Another thing that you can do, there is actually a visa extension program where you can apply, I think online, for an extra, or to stay for 120 days. It's quite complicated. You need to have medical tests saying that you are in good health. You need to be able to prove that you have the money to stay here. So it's a little bit convoluted. And I'm just gonna say this, I think they make it that way on purpose so that you will overstay and have to, I think they like to collect the overstay fine.
Fun little fact about the overstay, we actually know people that have stayed for like 10 years. So I just want to throw that out there. You can kind of do or stay how long as you want in the good old DR.
Lastly, you can absolutely apply for residency if you know you're going to be continuing to come back or live here full time out of the year. It is a convoluted, expensive process, but a lot of people have done it. I think you need to get a lawyer in your home country. I think the process starts in your home country, but if you're really interested in that, I'm sure you can find more information about it online.
Next question. I want to move to the Dominican Republic. Do I need to know Spanish? The short answer is no, you don't. Dominicans in general, even if they can't speak English, they're really good about trying to help you out, try to figure out whatever you need. Even if you have a little broken Spanish, that's going to help. However, there's no question that if you can speak Spanish, you're going to get a lot further in this country. For sure.
Especially if you're living here. It's one thing if you're coming down here for a month on vacation and you want to learn a few words but don't want to go full on in. That's totally fine. But if you're living here, obviously you're going to want to learn some of the language.
Yeah, like to put it into perspective, out of all the Spanish-speaking countries we've been to, I feel like the DR is the easiest one to come into if you pretty much know nothing, let's say that. So we find it easy, it's approachable, and I wouldn't be intimidated. I know that's why the question comes up. I definitely would not be intimidated if you're coming here, but if you can, do try to learn some basic words, and maybe just try to learn Spanish in general over time if you keep coming back.
Yeah.
Moving right along, I want to buy a home in the Dominican Republic, but I have no idea where to start.
Well, I'd say to start off, make sure you have money to buy a place here. It's not as cheap as you think.
No.
You can buy some stuff for relatively inexpensive, but you're not going to have like your pick of the litter, basically. Like you're on a limited budget. The prices here are definitely going up. So make sure you have a good budget. You're probably, as a foreigner, not going to be able to get financing here, so you're going to want to have the cash.
You're going to need the cash flow. Cash is king. I know you guys heard that say that before, and that's what everyone says down here. It is. I would imagine if you're coming down to the Dominican Republic, you probably want to live right here with the view like that. That's where it gets really costly. The minute you get outside of like the beach, it gets much more affordable, and it's still easy to kind of get to Sep Beach. But how would, like, we do have a contact, so that's the thing we wanted to get into.
So step number 2, after you make sure you have some money to buy a place, is to get a realtor. That's really important, especially if you're not familiar with anything down here and you're coming for the first time and you want to go for a property search. We will actually put a link to a recommended realtor in the description below, because I know a lot of people ask us that.
Yeah, we get that asked a lot. This is someone we trust. She will help you out. The link is right down there in the description if you're interested in buying a property here in the DR. Before we keep answering all your questions, we just wanted to say a huge thanks to Squarespace, our longtime partner, for being a sponsor once again.
You guys should know by now why we love Squarespace so much, and why we of course built our own website using Squarespace.
Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform tool that helps you stand out and succeed online. With Squarespace, you can sell your own products by creating your own online store. Whether you sell digital, physical, or service products, Squarespace has the tools you need to start selling online.
And now with Squarespace Payments, you'll be able to manage your payments all in one place. Getting set up is fast and simple. In just a few clicks, you can start receiving payments right away. Plus, give your customers more ways to pay with credit cards, PayPal, and Apple Pay. And in eligible countries, you can give your customers even more options with Klarna, ACH Direct Debit, Afterpay, and ClearPay.
Are you ready to build your own website? Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, head to squarespace.com/delightfultravelers for 10% off your first purchase of a domain or website.
And of course, a huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video and supporting creators like us.
All right, back to the questions.
Okay, next question is, how affordable are condos and villas to rent, especially if you want to be walkable to the beach? So, I mean, that depends on a lot of factors. We are, of course, in Cabarete, but there are many different areas of the Dominican Republic. There's a wide range of prices here. It depends on how close you are to the beach, how long you're staying. So if you're only here for a month or so, you're probably going to pay more per month than you would if you were here for 6 months.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. I think the mistake a lot of people make with the DR, if they don't know much about it, is they don't know it's humongous. And because of that, there's different little towns. Like right now, we're in Cabarete. This happens to be one of the more pricey towns in the country, unfortunately. It's not so good for us if we ever do buy something. But so like to get something like this on the beach, I mean, you could spend $1 million. It depends what you want.
To rent though.
Okay, so this is to buy.
Yeah.
If we're renting, you still could easily pay $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000.
It's all over the place. We actually talked to friends the other day that know people that rent a penthouse on the beach. I think they said it was 4 bedrooms, and they spend 12,000 USD per month. So there's that. We definitely don't do that. There are places a little bit closer, like maybe not directly on the beach, but a minute walk from the beach, that you could say for a 2-bedroom could be spending $2,500 to $3,000 a month, but you're very, very close to the beach.
And then you could go into a barrio, which is completely safe, like a barrio in this town, and get a place for $300 a month.
Yeah.
But I just want to go back to the beach for a second. Remember I said the DR is super big, right? So Cabarete, where we're at, happens to be really expensive. If you went a few towns over that's not as let's call it touristy, you could get something on the beach for way less. So that's the thing, guys. It depends on how far you want to be from the area. This is the thing that's tried and tested with where you want to rent, where you want to live. Yeah. It's location, 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 and it's just like that here in the Dominican Republic. Next up, is it cheaper to live in the Dominican Republic versus Canada or let's say the USA? Again, loaded question, but in general, yes.
Yes, for us, we probably pay about half the amount per month than we would in Canada, having a 1-bedroom apartment, and we kept everything kind of similar, other than being in a tropical country, obviously. If we kept all the similar things, we're eating out the same amount, we are buying groceries, we are living in a 1-bedroom apartment, paying rent and everything, we definitely pay way less here. Yeah,
it is, I would say, less than half of the cost of living versus living in Canada. We can speak to that a little bit more directly. Same with, I'd say, the USA. The thing is, in the USA, the groceries are a little cheaper than even Canada. So right now, Canada is it's gone up a lot, but it is more affordable to be here. Now, I know there's going to be some people in the comments saying, have you gone to the grocery store lately in the DR? Things are going up. They are going up, but they're still going up everywhere else in every other country.
Yeah.
So it's still, we find it affordable as part of the reason why we're here, but I mean, mostly we're here for the beautiful weather and, well, just to be in the Caribbean.
Yeah, but I think affordability is very much based on how much money you spend per month and at your lifestyle, and also where you're coming from. Because if you're coming from a really cheap country, you might find it more expensive here. If you're coming from Canada and the US, and you want to live a moderately nice life here, you won't spend too much. But if you want to come here and like live like a king, then yeah, you're gonna pay for it.
Next question. I heard the Dominican Republic is loud. What's the noise level like? Haha, this is a fun one.
Yeah, it depends on a lot of factors. Yes, in general, the Dominican Republic is a loud country. It is very much a part of the Dominican culture to be loud, to play loud music, to honk your horns.
Some will say, well, usually tourists or gringos will say, that's not culture, that's not culture.
It is.
It is. To be loud here is to be more seen, and it's just how it is. It's like that in a lot of Caribbean countries, but it's especially like that here in the Dominican Republic.
In Latin culture in general, I think.
Yeah, it's louder. You're going to hear really loud motorbikes. You're going to hear really loud cars. The dump trucks have flashing lights, and they usually lay on their horn for you to get out of their way. Music on the beach. People will bring speakers to the beach, giant speakers as big as the top half of my body, and just blare it, and everyone will have speakers, and all the music conflicts, but no one cares. It's just how it is.
Yeah, so if you are staying close to a busy beach, or if you're close to a very busy road, expect it to be a little louder than if you're in the middle of nowhere.
Good thing is, back to this country is massive. You can find quiet places easily. Just know though, whenever there's like an area that's, let's say, popular, there's just lots of people, you're gonna hear the loud version of the Dominican Republic.
Yeah. Next question. In our opinion, what is the biggest compromise we've made moving here or living here in the Dominican Republic? So for us, I mean, I don't really feel like we've made a lot of compromise. We do travel pretty much full time anyway, so we just don't have the normal lifestyle as most people. We're not just people that lived in Canada and had regular jobs and then quit and like just moved down here. Like a lot of people do, and the people that do that often find it quite shocking. I know for us, not so much.
No, we don't have that kind of shock factor. I guess let's say we did that and we didn't travel full time either, and we just came here. I mean, obviously family's going to be one, but luckily where we're at, our time zone, we can get back in about 4 hours on a plane, so it's not too bad. But I mean, some of the maybe smaller compromises to talk about, like you can't drink tap water here.
Flush toilet paper in most places.
Yep.
You we'll have to get used to the noise in certain areas.
Garbage.
There's a lot of garbage. It's, I think, getting slightly better since we first came here, but there's a long way to go with garbage here.
Yeah, in our opinion though, that short list doesn't outweigh the pros of being here. So that's why we love it. Moving right along, what do you do for cell phones or data? Great question, because people ask us this one all the time.
Yeah, so funny enough, when we're traveling, we love to use eSIMs that you can buy online, like Airalo and those different types of eSIMs that you can buy. Here, they're quite expensive. I hope that will come down at some point. So if you're just coming here for a few days, that's probably the easiest thing to do. You're going to pay a little bit more than you want to and get less data. But if you're going to be somewhere with Wi-Fi, that's probably fine. But if you're like us, you're going to want to go to a local provider, and you can get an eSIM or a regular SIM. Yeah,
we use a local provider. It is Claro, but it's their version. It's an eSIM, like Anna just said. So we don't have a physical SIM card. We only pay something like, I think it was 700 pesos, or about 800 pesos.
800 pesos per phone. Per month.
30 gigs of data for 1 month, and it's about like $17 or something like that. I think that might even be Canadian. So that's absolutely wild. So that's what we do. Like Anna said, if you're coming for a week, I'd probably do the eSIM route, or maybe turn on your phone, depending what country you're coming from. But if you're coming for a little bit longer, just go to a Claro or something like that and get a SIM card. On topic of data, let's move over to Wi-Fi. What's the reliability like, or say the speed in the Dominican Republic?
I think if you start researching, you're gonna hear, people are gonna be all over the place about this. In general, we found it pretty good, especially here in Cabarete. The place that we're in right now, before we moved in, they actually gave us a list of speeds, and we got to pick our speed, and they already had an internet connection, so we basically just paid the difference between like the two speeds, and it was not much money at all. Like, it's pretty affordable, and you can get top tier speeds if you want them. Yeah,
they go up to, I think, even a gig. Like, it's just like likely where you're from. If you're from Canada or the USA, you can get the same speeds here. Are there outages? Here and there,
but no more than in Canada. I'd say.
More than in Canada. So that's another reason for us. You know, we make the videos, we work online, we have a web design company, it's great. The internet is super fast in most places we go all over the DR.
And it's nice knowing that we have that data package to back us up if the internet did go out for a while.
Next up, many apartment rentals don't seem to include electricity. How does that work? Good question, because we wondered this before we came as well.
Yeah, you're going to notice that if you start to look up apartments on Airbnb or anywhere like that, you're going to often see like electricity will be paid separately. What happens in those cases is when you move in, basically, they will take a meter reading and then they will read the meter when you leave and you pay a certain amount for the electricity that you used. Electricity here is on the more expensive side, but still nothing crazy. We pay about 80 US-ish a month.
For a one-bedroom apartment, we're paying about $80 a month to run like a small, well, it's about, let's say, 900 square feet. At night, we use the air conditioning only for about 8 hours. And
just in the bedroom.
In the bedroom, exactly. And then we have like, you know, regular fridge, stove, things like that. So
obviously you were renting a bigger place and you had the AC running all the time. It could get quite expensive, but if you only have it on at night and it's just one air conditioner, it's not too bad. Next question, how often do you experience electricity, water, or internet outages?
Good question though, good question. So since we just talked about the internet, not so often on the internet front, I would say with water, not very often or if ever.
Yeah, so basically this is always our advice to people. When you are renting an apartment down here, if you want to have 24-hour electricity, make sure the building has a generator. Most of them do. Some of the older buildings do not have them, but that's really important to us. In those cases, usually when the electricity goes off, generator kicks on right away, so you might be without electricity for like 20 seconds.
Yeah, it is, of all three of those, it's the electricity that usually is cut a little more often. Here it's not so bad in Cabarete. The generator really helps. There is often scheduled outages. It seems to be sometimes here Tuesday afternoon for some reason, so that can happen, but just know that it can drop a little bit, but it's probably not as much as you think.
And a lot of those buildings also have water backups as well, so that's another important thing, is if they go off of like the community water, the town water, or if they have their own water reserve, like that's important.
Moving right along, what do you do about health insurance? Do you get it from here in the Dominican Republic?
So actually, no, but that's something we want to do in the future. It's on our list of things to do, is to look up like the local health insurance to get a plan. People tell us it's relatively affordable and you get some really good plans that cover dental and like prescriptions and all of your regular medical needs, hospital stays and all of that stuff. Some people have said it's like maybe $50-ish a month per person, but this is again like something that people have told us, so I don't necessarily believe that until we check it out ourselves.
We have to look into that a little more. However, we do use Safety Wing. You guys heard us talk about them before. They have been a sponsor, I think, in a video way back. We'll leave a link below because we actually use them for most countries we travel to, and they've always come in handy. In fact, just got some money back for my broken toe. You guys knew I broke my toe if you watched the last video, and I'm happy to report that we even got that money all the way back and maybe even a little more.
I know, they I actually feel like they paid us too much. Should I say that?
Shh, don't tell anyone. I mean, I guess everyone on YouTube knows now, but guys, don't tell.
It was only a few dollars. Next up, my country has travel warnings against the Dominican Republic. What's your experience and opinion on this?
Oh yeah, the good old travel advisory thing. I mean, here's the question, or I guess here's the thing in general. Like, let's pretend we're talking about the USA or probably Canada. I mean, they have travel advisories against so many countries, especially the States. And the thing is, I would argue the United States is more dangerous than any of those countries, especially a country like this. Can anything bad happen here? Of course. Can anything bad happen in Canada, in our city where we used to live in Halifax? Of course. You just have to use kind of your common knowledge, common sense. If you guys watch our videos, do you ever think we're in danger? We haven't been in danger once here. Have we heard of things happening? Yeah, but more petty stuff.
Things. We've never heard of like someone getting held up or kidnapped, or like all the travel warnings are actually really extreme, like armed robbery, kidnapping, all of these things, and I literally never heard one story about these happening.
I'm sure there would be reports on it out there somewhere, but I wouldn't be worried about that if you're coming here. I mean, if you're coming to one of the tourist towns, which is probably what you're doing, you're gonna see like the tourist police around here, the politar, and you're just gonna feel very comfortable. I realize that if you're just consuming all this information online without coming, it's going to be overwhelming. But we are feet on the ground here, and I just hope that we give you an insight. Even if you just picked us up on this video, maybe go back and watch some of our other videos, because we've driven by ourselves all over the country, not just in tourist towns, and then you can make the decision to see if you think it's safe to come here.
Yeah. Speaking of safety, is it safe to drive here? Well, okay, we're going to talk about safety in the Dominican Republic. I would say one of the least safe things to do here is to be on the roads.
I hate to make a joke about it and say how much do you value your life, but I mean, it's sort of relevant. Okay, it depends how, let's say, good or comfortable of a driver that you are. You're going to come here and you're going to leave the airport however you're getting here, and the first thing you're going to notice is the crazy driving. Like if there's 2 lanes with a yellow line in the middle, it's probably going to turn into 5 lanes, and then you got motorbikes in the middle just kind of going around you.
No one abides by stoplights.
No, stoplights are just a mere suggestion of what to do. The thing is, when you're here for a longer period of time, like we are, and now that I've driven, I guess let's say I drive like a local or like a Dominican.
I think what you have to do.
You do. It doesn't mean I do crazy things. You just have to realize that if there's space around your car, like let's say you're driving and there's like 2 car lengths between you and the next car, expect that space to be taken from you, and you can't get mad about it. It's just going to happen. So
and you need to have your head on a swivel at all times.
Head on a swivel. I know we're all used to like looking left, like behind you or something in blind spots in, let's say, Canada or the United States. I find on the right side sometimes because you don't expect motos to come while you're taking a right turn. So if you kind of drive like them, go with the flow, you're going to find it easy. I mean, I've driven in the second biggest city here in Santiago, and I had an okay time with it, oddly enough. However, we've yet to drive here on this time since we were back, and we are soon. We're in the next video. We're going to be somewhere else, but I'm already a little bit like anxious, but I know it's going to be okay.
I feel like it takes you one day, and then you're like, okay.
One day, and then I'm a Dominican on the road, just like laying on the horn. I use the horn here. I never use the horn in Canada, but I mean, it can be fun too.
I heard that after 30 days, your driver's license is not valid as a tourist. How does insurance work if you're in the DR for over 30 days? So, first thing I want to say is anytime something is I've heard this rumor, don't necessarily believe it. Take it with a grain of salt. We find here weird rumors go around that never
and they become
actually,
truth.
Well, people think they are truth, and no one actually knows. It goes back with like the immigration thing, about people getting in trouble for overstaying. I have also heard that you can't stay or you can't drive after 30 days. I've also heard more people say 90 days. So I don't think anyone actually knows the answer to this. They think they know the answer to it. Some people will claim this, but I've actually, again, never heard of someone getting in trouble for driving after 30 or 90 days.
Right, so that's the thing. Now, if you're looking for us for a definitive answer on this, we don't, because sometimes things are so gray down here, it's hard to know. We have heard of people that went past the 30 days and all was fine. We heard other people that didn't, and they might have had to, I don't know, pay somebody something.
But I've never heard that. I've heard people having to pay the police, but not for that.
Right. So
for speeding.
We don't know for sure. I think it all depends on what happens. Who knows? If it ever happens to us,
we will let you know.
We will let you know. But so far it hasn't. If it happened to someone watching, let us know in the comments below. But only let us know if it happened to you.
Not you heard it happen to the guy that lives down the street, that lives across from the lady that blah 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 blah.
On topic of driving, what's the highway driving like? Surprisingly, really good. Like the highways, especially the major highways that connect some of the big cities and like Punta Cana, are like double highways on both sides. It feels like you're driving in Canada. Yeah,
and I'd actually say in the last few years and going forward, it sounds like they're doing a lot of work on developing the highways. That's one thing they're really working on for the last few years. So. Yep. The highways in general are pretty good.
Most of the roads in general in the country are really good. It's not until you kind of get off into the mountains where if it rains a lot or something, they become a little more broken up.
Or off the beaten path.
Off the beaten path. But yeah, just know if you're coming, the highways are good. Next up, any tips for finding a rental car? Well, I mean, the best thing to do if you know someone, just get their opinion on where they rent from. But I realize not everyone can do that. We are in Puerto Plata, like in Cabarete specifically. OK Motors is probably
okay.
Is it okay? They seem to be the ones that like will deliver the car. The check engine light might not be on. The mirror won't fall off. There might be some gas in the car if you're lucky.
They also have good insurance. Like you can actually ask for the full insurance plan, so that's great. Whereas if you just rent from the guy down the street that has an extra car, you're probably not going to have any insurance if not great insurance. So just be aware of that.
It's tricky to navigate. There's a lot of people that just rent out their own personal cars here. So just try to navigate that. I would ask around if you meet anybody on the beach, just at the table next to you having a drink, like ask where they rent. But around here, we can say OK Motors.
And I was going to say, a lot of people complain. We've never rented at an airport before. A lot of people complain about getting scammed or them not abiding by like the what you booked it for online. They say, no, it's going to be double the price, or they try to charge you more. So maybe booking or renting at the airport is not the best idea.
How do you get around the Dominican Republic? Okay, loaded question, but just like anywhere, there are multiple options, maybe even more options here, I don't know. But of course, if you need to go from city to city and a far distance, I mean, you can hire, what do we call these? Like a tourist taxi, which might cost a little more.
Yeah, they could be up, like if you're going 4 hours, like from here to Santo Domingo, it's 4 hours, it's probably gonna be a couple $100s. So that's definitely the most expensive option, is to hire a driver and get them to take you, but that's definitely the most comfortable option.
Yep.
There are also buses that go from most cities to most cities. Once in a while, like if you're coming, say, from Cabarete and going to Punta Cana, you're gonna have to go to Santo Domingo, switch buses, and then take a second bus.
The thing about those buses, though, I think it's Carib Tours or something like that. They're really big buses.
Yeah,
they're not just
comfortable, I think.
Yeah, like, not just kind of like people say chicken buses or something.
Yeah.
They're big, comfy buses, I think, with air conditioning and bathrooms as well. That's an option. There are local guaguas. Now, this is more local at this point. So if we wanted to go to Sosua, we can pay like 50 pesos or something like that and get in a car with everybody else, packed in like sardines, but go 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So there's that
That's
too.
what we normally do if we're just going to somewhere like Sosua. You can also hire just a regular taxi to go to Sosua, and that's 800 pesos, is that
800
right?
pesos. But then there's the one that we haven't taken. There's the shared taxis that seem to be like the shared local taxis, where it seems to be one step up from a guagua, but they pack them as well. So those are some of the ways. Of course, you can take a moto as well if you don't need to go.
That.
If we don't do that, I just trust my life, or I want to have my life too much. So there's motos you can take. So there's multiple options. I don't think you can really fly between the country, like city to city. I don't know if that's ever going to come, but yeah, but hopefully that gives you guys some insight.
How do the taxes, the mandatory tipping, extra tipping, all of that stuff work, which is definitely a confusing thing. So straight off the bat, in general, there is supposed to be an 18% tax and a 10% tip added on to your bill. Sometimes, like anytime you go to a new restaurant, look at the menu. It'll usually say if tax and tip are included in the price that you see on the menu.
Yeah, so you should see the 18% on its own as a line item, and then you should see 10% legal, or it might say lay, L-E-Y, and that's the tip that's supposed to go to the staff.
Yes.
But the thing is, they still ask you if you want to tip even more.
Right, but what I was trying to say was on the menu, sometimes it'll say if it's included or not.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes it'll just be, it'll say like your meal is 800 pesos, but it doesn't include tax or tip. Sometimes it will include the tax and tip. So you just have to be very aware of that, because obviously if you're paying 800 pesos for something, if you're paying 28% on top of that, it's quite a bit.
It's easy to pay more than 28% when you combine the two. Now, we hear stories, some restaurants don't give their staff the 10%, but at some point as consumers, we have to leave that up to the restaurants to do that. I'm not about to tip 15% on top of 10%, and then so what does that become if I did that? If I did quick math, like 43%?
Yeah, and some places actually don't include that 10%. There's a few restaurants that don't actually do it, so then you can tip, you can decide to tip on your own.
Yeah.
In that case, we usually stick to around 10% unless it's like exceptional service.
It depends what we're doing. If we're just getting a beer, I'm not going to tip anything extra. It's like it's built in. But now if I'm going to some kind of really nice restaurant that costs a little bit more money and the service is like top notch, of course we're going to tip more.
Yeah.
So it's up to you guys how you want to do it. I know if you're from Canada like us or America, we just want to tip and give everyone all their money. However, just remember there's Europeans here too, and they don't tip like we do. So it is a bit of a gray area. I like that the 10% is built in, like for the tip. Problem is it's just not always there. It is a little confusing, but I hope that gives you some insight on that.
Next question is, I think, a cheeky little question from someone that's been watching us, and they said, do you know of any restaurant guides of where to eat?
Funny you say that. We've been working on one recently, and we put one for sale on our website for $7.99.
Yeah. It's for Cabarete.
It's for Cabarete. Thanks for asking the question, because it makes our shameless plug even easier. But all things just being serious for a second, we've been coming here now for what, like something like 4 years?
3 years,
People have been asking us about the restaurants constantly, so much in fact that we were like, we should make a map, and we've been to most of the places in this town, so that's what we did. We spent a lot of time creating it for you guys.
Yes, and there's also, I was going to say, before you even open the map, you get a PDF, and we actually put in all the information about the tipping and the lay and all of the taxes and stuff in there as well, so if you get really confused, you can purchase that and you'll have a little bit more information.
We are thinking about making some more for the country as well, specifically maybe in Santo Domingo or Las Terrenas. If you guys are interested in that, just let us know. It's just good feedback. Next up, have you noticed a significant increase in the cost of living here in the DR? short answer is absolutely yes. But if one of you can name me a country where that has not happened, I would be shocked.
But and I would say, so we were here for the first time, was it three years ago? And then we skipped a year and came back last year. Definitely noticed a bigger increase at that point than from last year. Left in May. We just got back a couple of months ago. Didn't really see a huge increase then.
Of course there's certain things at a grocery store or something like that that's going to be more expensive and they go up, but there's still enough that outweighs just the costs in general to be here. I find rent has not gone up too much. Real estate has gone up. Unfortunately, that's
by a mound. Yeah.
That's the biggest one. But as far as like being on the beach, I'm looking this way because all the restaurants are down there. That's not too much of a difference. Like if 2 mojitos, like on a happy hour, let's just use that because everybody has mojitos here. Like 3 years ago, might have cost, I don't know, like $2 each for a mojito. Now they're like $2.25. Yeah. You know, so it's not gone up that much.
All right, next question is about money. Do places here take credit cards? And when bringing cash, should I bring USD or pesos?
Well, I mean, most people I know bring USD, but we don't. We just come here with a tiny little bit, but we just go to the ATM and get out pesos. We always find whatever country we're in, the local currency is the best to have their cash. So here,
you definitely are going to want to pay in peso. If you're going to say an all-inclusive hotel and you're just bringing tip money, sure, maybe bring some USD with you. But if you're doing what we do, you're coming and you're like visiting local places, definitely want to pay in pesos. You're going to save money that way. It's more complicated paying in US. Like definitely bring pesos. You can either, if you're from the US, sure, bring USD down. You can find some good exchange places. Don't change it at the airport, but like there's some good exchange places in the towns. And then you like us, there's a Scotiabank here, which is an affiliate of our Canadian Scotiabank, so we can take money out for free. So that's great.
You asked about credit cards as well. We actually use our credit cards as much as we can. I would say, just using Cabarete as an example, I'd say more than half of the places take a credit card. Maybe it could even be around the 70% mark. Some of the best restaurants do not, so we make sure we have cash when we go to those places. But I would just do a bit of both. That's what we do anyway. We usually have a bit of cash. We never use our ATM like debit cards to, like at a restaurant. We always use credit cards. I heard there's been a lot of flooding this season here in the Dominican Republic. Should I cancel the trip? I mean, that's a big jump, but it makes sense depending on what you're watching on the news.
Yeah, so definitely don't cancel your trip. We're now well into January as we film this. The flooding that happened was in November and then some in December. I would say if you're coming now, unless there was one place in particular, like
you're in the mountains or something, let's say that.
I was going to say like an apartment that got flooded and got a lot of damage and they haven't fixed it. You wouldn't even know it happened.
Yeah, what I was going to say is where the flooding happened the most is up in some of the mountains, and there was some landslides as well, and that sounds terrible, but if you had a place booked there, I mean, I would cancel the trip. But if you're wondering about, again, back to the tourist destinations like Punta Cana, here, Puerto Plata, Sosua, it's been okay.
It's been fine.
It's been totally fine. Have we had tons of rain a couple days? Absolutely. Have we seen more flooding than we did in the past?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have, but it went away in like a day or two. Like I know people had damage to their homes. I'm not talking about all that, but if you're just walking around this beach town, things went back to normal pretty quick.
When is the best time to visit the Dominican Republic? So I will say, let's start off with the worst time is November and December is really rainy season here. No, we're not talking about hurricane season, we're talking about rainy season. That's November and December, so usually pretty iffy months. In the past, they've just been, we might get a week of like kind of drizzly rain, overcast. This year was obviously, or last year, I guess I should say, was a lot worse than normal, but very out of character. Yeah,
like what we're trying to say is in November and December, like, can you get days like today? Absolutely. But this season, there's been not so many of blue sky days. The weather was much more unpredictable. It rained quite a bit, but as far as the best time goes, any time from right around now, like January, is when it kind of smooths out. And from what we hear, well, obviously a hurricane season does start somewhere around June, I believe, is the official month, or maybe it's the month before. But now until then, I mean, if you want to be super safe about it, that's a great time to come. After that, you got hurricane season and then a bit of rain, but it's usually, even in all the seasons, you get beautiful weather like this.
January through March can be a little bit cooler. We actually noticed that last year. It's funny when you're here for a long period of time, when it's 32 every day and then it goes down to like 27, 28 every day, you really start to notice the difference.
Even today, it's 26 degrees. I'm looking on my watch here and there's a bit of a breeze. It's actually nice. Like we're standing in the direct sun and I'm not sweating too much.
And then I think like May through end of October can be really, really hot. So if you're super sensitive to the heat, maybe that's not the best time to come. But if you really love super heat, you'll probably really enjoy that.
Okay, next up, hurricanes. Aren't you afraid of hurricanes? Well, find me someone that's not afraid of a hurricane. Everyone is, but more specifically, I know the question, like hurricanes in the Dominican Republic, the Caribbean, etc. To be completely honest, we're from Nova Scotia in Canada, and I'm more afraid of getting a hurricane there than I am here, because here it doesn't happen as much. I'm not saying it can't happen, but there's this big giant mound of a mountain here in the Dominican Republic called Pico Duarte that's 10,000 feet high. It's cold on the top, and because of that, it pushes hurricanes away. I'm not saying, again, none I've ever touched here, but most times they hit other places. Yeah. They kind of dodge here. They might hit Haiti. They might hit Puerto Rico, unfortunately. And
that's why you probably often hear about bad hurricanes there more often than you do here. It's because of that mountain just pushes it right over to them. So here, like Trevor said, it's not like you're never going to get a hurricane, but in general, when they hit, they're not as bad. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone that lives here in the Dominican Republic, especially around the north coast, we all love that mountain. It's our favorite mountain on the earth. Next up is a very important question. Are the mosquitoes a major concern? Ooh, they drive me crazy. Generally, like right now, they're pretty bad because it rained for months and months, and there was a lot of rain, and now there's a lot of mosquitoes. We actually find, oddly enough, the mosquitoes are the worst on the beach right after sunset. So be prepared. You don't even see them. They're like under the tables, and then all of a sudden you realize you have 10 bites. So we usually bring very, very good spray with us. Gotta have DEET in it. And we usually spray ourselves right around sunset. Yeah, just know that, like Anna said, if it rains, usually for the following 2 weeks or something like that, you got to kind of be on guard. Like the other day it rained and we were on the beach, and I went inside a restaurant here and I got devoured inside, not thinking like, right, we're in the shade, all the mosquitoes were in there. Yeah. So just know that. But the minute it does dry up and the rainy season's kind of over, it's not as bad. The biggest thing you have to worry about here with mosquitoes is dengue, and that's not something that we want and not something that's fun. However, that seems to come in seasons. One thing I asked the doctor when I got my broken toe checked is I said, hey, like just out of curiosity, is dengue bad this year? And he said, no, it's not this year. It kind of comes in waves every 4 or 5 years. Last year was really bad. Last year was really bad, but he said this year there's only been a case or two in the country. So just know that, even dengue aside, no one wants to be itchy all the time. So just wear spray. Okay, thoughts on over-tourism here in the Dominican Republic. So first, we're moving into the miscellaneous category. We didn't know where to file all this stuff, but over-tourism, that's like a buzzword these days. You hear about it a lot in Europe, but you don't hear about it as much here in the DER, and I don't exactly know why that is, but for starters, Punta Cana takes a lot of the tourists, right? Like people that come here, a lot of people go there, but it's expected to. I don't think the people living in Punta Cana mind that there's all these tourists coming, because that's how it is. In Spain and like Barcelona, where you hear a lot of stuff happening, the locals can't go and enjoy their own beaches and things like that. So it's a little bit different. This country's big. Is over tourism here? Yes. But mostly they go to Punta Cana and everyone's okay with that. It's a little different. Yeah, so this, I think I read that the Dominican Republic had 11 million tourists visit last year. It's going up every single year. It's great for the country. It usually only happens in high season, so like January through April. The rest of the year is pretty quiet, especially here in the North Coast. Like it can be so dead at certain times of the year. So we're not too concerned about over-tourism here. I think the safety, I think people are gonna forever be a little nervous of the Dominican Republic, and those people are just not gonna come here. Exactly. Like, let's just talk about our town on it for a minute. Like in low season, it's so quiet here, and we get a lot of you guys when we meet in person, they're like, you gotta stop telling people about Cabarete, too many people are gonna come. Nah, we need more people to be here. I'm not saying we want it to be Punta Cana, but in low season, it's so dead. I tell you, we go to some of these restaurants, we don't know how they survive. And of course, you guys want them to survive because when you come back in high season, you want them to be here. Yeah. So there does need to be, I'd say, a few more people come into Cabarete, especially in the lower season months. But I wouldn't worry about over-tourism in general. Again, this country is enormous. They're developing new Punta Canas in different areas, apparently. So there's a lot of room. Yeah, like Miches just started up. We keep hearing about Bahia de las Aguilas. Yeah. So we'll see what happens in the future. Next question, what is the effect of Haiti on the Dominican Republic? So a lot of people get really, really nervous about Haiti being so like having such a difficult time at the moment, having no real government, and thinking that they're just going to come over here and probably invade the Dominican Republic. That is not going to happen. No. There is, for one, a giant mountain in the way, so they'd have to get over a mountain in order to do that. I also think, given the fact they can't even really form a government, can they actually form like a full-on invasion? Probably not.
Probably not. You know, we don't want to be naive, but like if you really think about what's happening there, I think it's improved a bit, but there's a lot of gang wars between the neighborhoods, and they've got the government out of place and things like that. For them to get over the mountain in general would be crazy. I know there's other ways, but it's likely not going to happen. The other thing is the DR would do everything to protect itself. They're not going to fight them. They are trying to build a wall between the countries to try to keep some of it out. It is a little sad. It just is what it is.
And there is a very big military here.
The military here is larger than Canada's. I forget the exact number, but there's more military here in this country than our own home country. So you have to kind of factor all that in. Even though it is connected on this giant island, we don't feel the effects. We do meet a lot of Haitians that do make it through, and we love everyone that we get to meet. We met so many incredible Haitians in this country. But just know that whatever is happening there isn't spilling over here. It's kind of like the equivalent of, like, you know, I know Mexico sometimes has problems in some of the cities, and it could be close to America. It doesn't mean it's happening on the other side of the states in general. So if you're worried about Haiti like affecting the DR, I just wouldn't. We don't even, it doesn't even come up. In fact, we hear about it more when we're back home in like North America and Canada.
Next up, I actually wasn't going to answer this question because it's a little specific. But what is the closest airport to Cabarete? And the only reason I'm actually answering this is people message us to ask us this all the time, and I'm not sure why, because I think that should be pretty readily, easy information to come across. So Puerto Plata Airport is about 30 minutes from Cabarete. If you're coming anywhere like from Puerto Plata over this way, you're definitely going to fly into that airport. Santiago is the next closest airport. It's about an hour and a half from here.
Last question of the day. What do you guys do for a living? Now, I realize this isn't directly related to everything you need to know about the Dominican Republic. It's just we're picking up so many new people lately with the videos that you guys keep asking for the ones that don't know. And we are in the Dominican Republic, and I think that's why they asked. I mean, maybe the question's like, how can I be in the Dominican Republic and do what you do? Like, what do you do to survive? Are you retired?
And we don't work here. We don't have jobs here in the Dominican Republic. If you want to have a job here, A, you want to be able to speak Spanish, and 2, you're going to want to be legal as well. You have to get that residency in order to be able to actually work here, like at a restaurant or whatever you want to do, have a business here. We work online, we do these videos.
So believe it or not, this is a job. You guys ask us a lot. People are like, this can't be your job. It is. We make money through YouTube. That is one of the avenues. Now, we get paid via USA, I guess. I mean, Google owns YouTube, and then we just happen to be here, and that's how we can stay. We don't get paid by any Dominican Republic company. No. We make money that way. The other thing we have is totally outside of this and unrelated. Think of it as two very separate silos. We do have a web design business, and we work with clients all over the world, not just in the USA and Canada, many different time zones. I've built thousands of websites at this point, just over time. So that's another revenue stream. Of course, we sell the restaurant guide, we have merchandise, we have Patreon accounts. Like, we try to come up with as many revenue streams as we can.
Even if they're just little small ones. Like the more you have, the more, you know, it's like $100 here and $100 there, it starts to add up.
It makes sense. Like, we used to make a little bit of money with Facebook as well. Like, if one of those revenue streams drops out, there's usually something else to kind of back it up. This has been something we've been working on for like, 10, 15 years now. It's not something we've done overnight. So now we're just kind of right in it, and we're doing it day to day, and it's great. So that's how we get to be here. We kind of make our money elsewhere, but we get to live in paradise. And luckily we get to create these videos for you guys that watch every week, and thank you for that, because we really appreciate it, because we love putting out videos. We get to showcase the DR in just places all over the world.
Yeah, we really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. It's a little bit different from what we normally do, but we get so many questions from you. When we called out for these questions, we got literally hundreds and hundreds of questions. We tried to whittle them down to ones that a lot of people would be wondering. So I know a lot of people ask very, very specific things, like there were some that wanted a resort recommendation for kids or adults. We don't really do all-inclusives. We've done maybe 3. So if you are interested in all-inclusive resorts, we have maybe 3 videos to watch, but we're probably not the people to go to for that.
We realized today this is a long video, probably one of the longer ones we've ever created, but we knew that was going to happen.
If you made it to now, congratulations.
Thank you. We probably could have split it up into 4 different parts, but we thought we'd do it in one big giant video. We have put markers in the bottom if you guys want to skip the chapters to try to find the question that you're looking for. But we put a lot of work into this one, and we hope you enjoyed it. If you happen to be new, it's Trevor, it's Anna, Delightful Travelers. Hit the like button, because that's going to help get the video out there. If you're not subscribed, there's a button down there. It is free to subscribe, you guys. It doesn't cost money, just how YouTube words it. Hit that. You'll follow along on our upcoming adventures. Speaking of that, we're going somewhere.
Lots more planned here in the Dominican Republic. We are actually renting a car in the next couple of days, and we're going to take off towards the Puerto Plata area. I guess we're heading west.
Heading west. We won't tell you too much more, but we're going to do some exploring, proper exploring. We can't wait. Of course, we will see you in the next video.
All right, guys, that's it.
From the Dominican Republic, wishing you delightful travels.
See you soon.